Now this video is about 3 events in 3 different places at potentially 3 different times. Now what has happened is that over the course of this month, over a course of 2 weeks, there's been a lot of political violence, or if it's not political violence, the rhetoric has caused these people to go insane and commit violence. Now of course we all know what rhetoric I'm talking about here. That is the far left, social justice, cultural Marxist rhetoric that we hear time and time again. And as you can see, with our first real story, we have typical bullshit here. An antifa member stabs police horse in the neck at a Pennsylvania demonstration. Now this woman, Lisa Simon, yeah, look at that person, totally doesn't regret her actions for stabbing a police horse in the neck, because what she was trying to do during this protest, which is really, she was trying to cause a riot, she was trying to cause chaos and to get the horse to run. And she's been charged with a host of crimes, including aggravated assault, illegally taunting a police animal, prohibited offensive weapons, disorderly conduct, and resisting arrest, because her flagpole at the bottom, or was at the front, I can't remember, had a spear point of sorts, like something that you could stab somebody with, and she managed to stab the police horse in an effort to try and drive it away to make it panic, but it didn't. And of course Antifa deny it. Now these people have been galvanised because of this rhetoric, saying it's okay to punch fascists and Nazis, because remember, the police are part of the fascist state. They represent that. They're trying to beat you down. It's, you know, the whole bullshit around that. But then it gets worse than this, because now this rhetoric, as we know, they teach that the opposite side are evil and Nazis, and they're there to destroy you and destroy women's rights. Your right, funnily enough, your right to free speech, these minority rights, the poor, stuff like that. Even though there might be some valid things in there, especially when it comes to class and stuff like that. We don't really see much when it comes to minority rights, unless you go to other countries. In terms of the UK and America, we don't really have that issue here. But recently, the worst was obviously this thing here. These 2 stories that I'm going to show you. And the first one was the Scalise shooting, where James T. Hodgkinson, a man who was a Bernie Sanders supporter, he helped volunteer for his campaign, went to a baseball practice game, which was being set up, funnily enough, as a sort of Democrats versus Republicans match for the victims of the Manchester bombing. He went to this training camp, asked if they were Republicans, found out they were Republicans, got his machine gun or his rifle and shot up people. He shot 4 people and eventually got shot by the police himself. And this was a premeditated, calculated move. Because 1, this guy is quite clearly an extreme leftist. As you can tell, his politics, he signed petitions on change.org, such as Bernie, please run no matter what. Now, I'm not painting all Bernie Sanders supporters as the same. He was actually probably would have been my candidate of choice if I had to vote in the election, if he ever was a candidate. I've always kind of maintained that to some degree. Hillary Rodham Clinton should concede the nomination to Bernie Sanders, and it gets worse than this, because he was also part of anti-GOP Facebook groups, including Terminate the Republican Party, The Road to Hell is Paved with Republicans, and Join the Resistance Worldwide. If that's somebody who doesn't have a seething hatred of somebody based on their politics, I don't know what is, because I don't care what media he consumes, or even what his... I don't necessarily care about his whole political stance necessarily, but the point is, he's been influenced over the course of his life, especially recently in the polarising world that we live in today, to commit this act. But of course, he most likely would have always committed this act, or something like it, because he's had past run-ins with violence before. He's been noted to be abusive with his daughter, and he almost shot her boyfriend, and he got away with it because the witnesses didn't turn up in court for whatever reason. Conjecture, I think they probably didn't want to deal with it, and that's why the court case was thrown out. That's why they didn't turn up. And if they did turn up and this man went to jail, this wouldn't have happened. And apparently he got fired from one job in 2003 because of unacceptable behaviour, but we don't know what that is. This guy was somebody who legitimately thought that the Republican Party was the devil incarnate, metaphorically speaking, and that they had to be killed because he thought they were a danger to the country and that Donald Trump was a traitor to the country and that it was un-American. Especially Ronald Reagan. He was of the belief that Ronald Reagan... It's honestly, it depends on your opinion. I'm of the opinion that putting 30.1% of people out of work, as he did, is wrong, and that's what he believed. All of this culminates into this. It was a calculated political move, and I've always said that the way things are going about, if there's not going to be spree shootings like this, there's going to be gangland political violence of sorts with things like antifa, with cunts like her going around stabbing animals in the neck to cause panic and riots for political reasons. But to be honest, I didn't actually think about spree shootings. I didn't think about that. But the thing is, with this, CNN's surprisingly detailed and, as far as I'm aware, accurate portrayal of this guy is astounding. Now, why is that? Because he's a fucking white male, that's why. I mean, that's the only reason why this guy's getting any publicity at all, apart from shooting Rep Scalise, who I hope has a speedy recovery. I mean, we're getting to the point now where lone individuals, and it is lone individuals, but for how long is it going to be lone individuals before we end up getting people shooting each other because that person's a part of Antifa, that person's a part of the Aryan Brotherhood, let's shoot them. Or that's a Republican, that's a Democrat, let's beat them up. How long is it going to divulge into that beyond just a bunch of crazies? And it seems to me that the media is perfectly fine with essentially demonising this guy, rightfully so. But when it comes to a certain somebody, all of a sudden, radio silence. Now, why is that? Now, why have I brought up the Pennsylvania supermarket shooter? Because this person was apparently transgender. And that's why you didn't hear anything about this. And this is why they were quiet about it. They were perfectly fine with talking about a Bernie supporter, because he's a Bernie bro, isn't he? That's what that guy would be called. He's a Bernie bro. He's had a history of attacking women. He has a history of attacking people in general. And he's mad and he shot people. Typical story. That's exactly what they can roll with. But this one, someone who claims, called Randy Stair, who claims to be transgender, who reportedly from the horse's mouth, hated men, hated everything about us, from our body structure to our facial hair to the way we are, essentially hating himself. I don't buy this person to be a transgender person at all. He's making no attempt to even pass as a woman. This is a person, much like the other two before, especially similar to the now dead other spree shooter. These were people who were brainwashed by extremist factions and they've committed heinous acts. These are people who are already mentally gone already, and it was this rhetoric, the things that they see in the world that's happening. It could be what they've been reading in the media that's been spinning the reality in a way that made them want to go out and kill people, or it's Tumblrisms like this guy. He's obviously been on Tumblr, he's been on sites and forums, social justice forums, where he's essentially been brainwashed to hate himself. And he says that. He says that, if I can just find it. I mean, look. He says that he hated himself. Look. Stair thanked several girls who contributed artwork and character designs to his project. He released a video hoping that would be his legacy, but nobody watched it, thankfully. He says that the girls were the only people he could talk to about his personal life, the only people who really understood him. I feel like he was brainwashed, or at least, I don't know. I would say he was brainwashed to think that men and boys are just this disgusting thing, don't associate with them. Girls are innocent, beautiful goddesses. I mean, he worshipped this stupid cartoon character called Ember or something. And here he goes, look, they were all girls, they weren't guys. They were mostly all girls, so I would talk to them. The only people I would talk to on social media in the last year were girls. And eventually I started to realise I was sexist, I was racist, I was prejudiced, and I was discriminate. That is one hell of a fucking lethal combination. I've always hated black people. I fucking hate people who aren't white, Caucasian, whatever. I hate the human race, he said. And I just started hating guys more than anything. I hate guys. I think they're fucking disgusting. The facial hair they have, the body hair, the muscle build, and all that fucking body structure shit. I hate everything about guys I hate. And the fact that I was forced to live as one, you weren't forced to live as one, you were born as one. You know that hurt a lot. And also I hated my name too. My life was a living hell. So for a year I had Andrew in my fucking name tag for work, which I have never had to wear the name tag because I'm on a night shift, so you don't wear your name tag. You get it. And look, he thinks spiritually he's a woman, he's a female soul, but he had to live in a man's body to do what he was set out to do. Look, this is a person who quite obviously has mental issues. Could be schizophrenia, could be anything like that. Look, the only person he likes is Freddie Mercury. Because he was, well, he wasn't really gay, he was bi. But if you're gay, you're fine. But if you're straight, and if you're black... But then again, he probably isn't a racist. He's just been told he's a racist, told he's a sexist, constantly by these horrible, disgusting ideologues that he hates himself. He already had self-esteem issues, it's quite clear. And now he's done this. And it's all because of social justice. It's all because of this far left cultural Marxist bullshit. This is what extremist politics creates. It doesn't matter what spectrum you're on. People like this, if they get sucked into it, and if they get caught up in the echo chambers, and they begin to hate themselves because they've already got these issues, they're already a violent person, or they're already mentally ill, this is the result. Spree killers, we've got mentally ill people going out shooting people because they hate themselves, hoping to have some kind of legacy. We've got one person who thought that he was doing the political equivalent of essentially saving America, liberating the people. And we have a spoilt brat with a skinhead, ironically enough, at an antifa protest, attacking animals because she thinks that's what you're supposed to do as a revolutionary. This is what we're going to today, and I'd hate to see what the right, the extreme right, will respond to with. I don't want to know. I assume it'll be something similar. Hopefully people will come to their senses but before that. But as we know, when the two sides clash and there's a death, that's when it'll be too late to solve it. Then we'll be thinking, well, now what do we do? People are fighting each other because of their politics. Are we going to have a civil war? Well, let's hope that America and Britain and France and Germany and all these other countries don't have things like that. Civil wars because of bullshit like this. Nobody deserves to be killed because of their political beliefs. Nobody. That is a crime in itself. It's ridiculous. And this is where we're headed. If we're not galvanising the youth to go out and commit fucking arson and battery and riots, rhetoric is being used to galvanise political support, but in the end it's making a few nutcases go out there and kill people. Or if they don't kill people, they attack people, like in Chicago. They torture them because they're white, because they're disabled. And this is the world that we've created, so it's about time we try and fix it, people. So, until next time, I'll see you later.